Hey guys, my name is Hannah and I would say, let's have some fun today. Okay, I do this every season, so if you're a little bit longer on my channel, you know that already. I do every season a favorite palettes I want to use for the season type of video. And today's no exception because winter is coming, winter is starting, and I really want to show you my favorite top 10 eyeshadow palettes for the winter time. Or let it phrase me a little bit different. I want to show you my favorite palettes that I'm really thinking about within my collection when the winter time is arriving and I want to use a little bit more. So without further ado, and if you're interested in this video, then let's get started. So we are starting big. The first one would be my Pat McGrath Subliminal palette. This beauty right here. Do I have to say any more? It's winter in a palette, guys. I think those colors, those metallics, they are so beautiful and sparkly looking, especially her special shades right here. And it's one of her first palettes. I even think it's her first ever palette. It's the Mothership I. And I love it. I think you really can tell how much thought went into this beautiful palette right here. And I'm so excited to use this one in the wintertime a little bit more now. I really love especially this shade right here. It's such a unique grayish lilac-y type of shade and I think it's beautiful. Those two shades at the very end of the palettes, the two special shades, I think they are chef's kiss and so stunning looking. So yeah, really want to use this one in the wintertime more and I think it's deserves to be here again in this video because we never ever can film a video without showing at least one mothership. And talking about mothership, this time I have two. The next one would be my Moonlit Seduction palette, this one right here. And I always have to think of Taylor Swift when I see this palette, of the album Midnights that she brought out. I'm not a Swiftie, but this album really spoke to me. I really liked it and I knew that was the palette that Pat used on her during some photo shoots and during some filming for her music videos. So it's always the palette that reminds me of that time and it was so much fun to use this one. It was last or the year before, I think. And I always have to think of that, you know, when I look at this palette. So this will always be my winter palette because her songs, her album also came out during the winter time and yeah, it will always remind me of that and it was so inspiring during that time for me. And this is also such a beautiful wintry palette for me. This glittery shades again, a little bit of a different formulation with her newer motherships that she brought out, but I personally really like them as well. I think they are so stunning, those very burgundy type of tones. I think this is really also winter in a palette and I'm so happy that I have this one and I really want to use it during the colder times again so much more. Now let's come to a little bit of smaller palettes. The next one would be the one that I bought during my trip to Tokyo and it would be the Moonlit Land palette from Flower Knows Beauty, this one right here. And this is for me a very curated, beautiful palette. Look at the sparkly shades, especially this one and this. Those are a little bit more refined sparkles, so they are very fine and light, and just when the right light is hitting you, you really can see the little sparkle throughout your lid. But I really like that and appreciate that. This is a little bit more of an, you know, Japanese, Asian type of eyeshadow palette. So it's a little bit more of a lighter approach, but I like this one so much. I think this is beautiful and it's reminding me of, I don't know, of a wintry movie almost. When you are looking at this one, you can decide if you want to go very blue or if you want to go a little bit more neutral or combine those two together, you know, and I really like this one. And this is for me also a small, beautiful little winter palette for sure. Next one would be a newer one in my collection I really wanted to bring into this video as well, and it would be my Dior Backstage Celestial Purple palette. This one right here. I really like this one, guys. Look at this beauty. It's so stunning. I especially need to think of winter because of those two roads right here. And I think they are looking so stunning and wintry and cool toned, and I really like that. But you also can bring a little bit of warmth back, a little bit of that, you know, cacao-y type of look if you want to, or combine those two. And I think this is a beautiful winter palette. Mine is looking a little bit rumbled up right now. There are all over it a little bit of glitter particles because I dropped it 5 minutes ago. But luckily nothing broke. So this is all that counts for me in a moment like that, when my heart has stopped beating for a second, but it survived, thankfully. So yeah, just that you know, that's because there are all over glitter particles. But I tried my best to swipe it away. But yeah, this is also a beautiful winter palette. I really appreciate, and it's new in my collection, so of course I need to use it more during the winter time. Okay, now's the time. If you know me, I always cheat a little bit. So the next thing I want to talk about is Tom Ford, but I need to show you two palettes because they're both new and I really wanted to include both here, because if you have one of those, please pull them out because they're beautiful. The first would be my Black Diamond palette from Tom Ford. It's the new one, the beautiful Black Diamond. I learned to love so much, especially this glittery shade with those greenish sparkles in there. I think this is so unique and stunning for a Tom Ford palette, and I really like this one. You can create something very neutral with this very little bit more coolish type of brown with a hint of purple. You can't really detect it that much, but there is a little hint of purple in this brown right here. So yeah, all in all, I think this is also a beautiful, stunning, more neutral leaning winter palette, but with a beautiful little twist with this sparkly shade with those little green sparkles in there. So I fell more and more in love with this one after filming my video. So yeah. Of course, I need to use my new palettes during the winter time because they are new and it's a perfect time to use a palette like that for the colder days, you know? And I would pull them together because for me those are one and the same. Not the same, you know what I mean, because I think if you have one of those, I just want to encourage you to pull them out because I will pull them out definitely during the winter time. And the other one would be my Metallic Mauve palette. It's also new. Again, a sparkly, beautiful shade with golden sparkles in there. And then we also have this beautiful lilac-y shade, this mauve shade, this more neutral type of shade. I think if you have one of those palettes, guys, they are so stunning for the winter time. They're screaming winter to me. You also can combine them if you have both, like me, because the color story is so beautiful together as well. So I really want to use both of those palettes during the colder days because they are so sparkly and beautiful and a little bit on the grungy, darker side. I really appreciate that. So I really wanna use them during the colder days for sure. Both so much because I really love this formulation especially. Okay, now an older palette. It's my Christmas Eve palette from Oden's Eye that I also want to use during the winter and Christmas time especially, because it's in the end a beautiful Christmas themed palette. And now that it's getting colder, I'm feeling this palette so much more again, and I really want to use it also so much more during the colder days. It's a beautiful and stunning palette, guys. I really love how everything is combined, and if you have this palette, you can't buy this anymore, but it's the old beautiful Oden's Eye formulation that I really love and appreciate. I didn't bought from Oden's Eye for a longer while now, I have to be honest, but I heard some mixed opinions on their formulation, that it has changed a little bit. But this one, guys, I really love this palette, and I can't say anything about the newer palettes because I don't have them, but maybe I will try them out one day as well so that I have a little bit of something to compare to. But for now, I'm very happy with this one and I really want to use this one as well. Okay guys, now to a new palette I'm so excited about. I already filmed a video with this one, 2 looks I did, and it's already out, or it will come sooner than later on my channel. And I already filmed with this, and it's the Underland palette from Ansley Rain Cosmetics. First of all, look at this packaging. It's beautiful, and I love that Alice themed. I in general love Alice themed stuff, so that aside. But yeah, look at this beautiful inside, guys. I really like this. The only problem I have sometimes with Ansley Rain is that it's creasing sometimes a little bit faster on me, but I have tricks and ways that I can manipulate the wear time a little bit longer, that it's not creasing that fast on me. But in general, they're creasing. But even though they're creasing and they're so expensive, I'm buying them anyways. So this is telling you something. Because I think it's so special. It's something so special always in my collection to have something from Ansley Rain. And this palette I need to use in the wintertime. It's also a little bit on the fall side for me. But especially those bluish sparkly shades. This red right here. So stunning. This down here, it's all screaming winter for me, and it's a new palette. Of course, I want to use it right now. So this is a palette I will grab and slather on my eyeballs for sure. The next one that I really want to use during the winter time, it's my Natasha Denona Xenon palette. It's such a unique color story for me. It's so beautiful. Every time I'm using this palette, I'm falling again in love with it. I'm telling you, because at first you think, okay, there's not much variety, and maybe, you know, it's a grayish black leaning palette. So what do you want? It is a little bit monochromatic, you know, at the end of the day, but I have the feeling I can create so many looks. I can go lighter, I can go darker, bolder, or very, very ethereal with this one. And I also have a little bit of variety in the undertones at least. And even though it's so monochromatic, I really, really like this palette, guys. I'm telling you, I think this is a beautiful, beautiful and stunning palette, and it's a very, very unique one in my collection, that's for sure. And it's reminding me so much of the winter time just because of those sparkly, grayish, bluish types of shades. And I think this would be very nice to also pull out during the colder days, you know? So I really want to do that, and yeah, so excited to play with this one a little bit more again. Okay guys, now we are coming to the last 2 palettes, and the palette I'm showing you right now is the palette I'm wearing today on my eyes, and it's the Cosmic Brushes. I think they are called different now. I'm not sure how exactly. I need to look that up. But for me, this is a Cosmic Brushes palette, you know, when they were called Cosmic Brushes. And it's the Winter Wonderland palette. And this is the palette, like I said, I'm wearing on my eyes today. I really love the look that I came up with. I think it's very beautiful, very there, but light at the same time somehow. And it's reminding me of a candy cotton winterland type of look, you know, and I'm very much here for this. And yeah, do I need to tell you more? The name is applying it as well, that it's a Winter Wonderland palette for the winter time. Of course, I'm not just using it for the winter time, but in the winter time, I just have to think of this palette immediately. Just because of the name, because of the inside, it's such a beautiful themed palette, and I really want to slather it on during the winter time so much more. Cosmic Brushes in general has such a beautiful formulation, so easy to work with. Not just the shimmery shades, but especially the mattes are so easy peasy going, and I'm very appreciative of that. So yeah, need to pull this out as well. It's in my top 10, you know, because how could it be otherwise? And I'm so excited to dig into this one a little bit more. Okay guys, the last palette. I really tried my best to stick to the 10. I had some more, but I thought, you know, be strong this time, Hannah. And I cheated already a little bit, so I didn't want it to cheat even more with my 10 palettes, you know. So this will be the last one. And it's my Glaminatrix Cosmetics Sugar and Spice palette. This is so beautiful, guys. This was one of my very first, besides Oden's Eye. You know, Oden's Eye was, I think, my first indie palette that I bought for myself. But this would be, after Oden's Eyes, my first ever other indie palette I tried. That I never really played that much with indie palettes. And that would be, okay, and if you are excluding Melt, because sometimes I don't really know if Melt is in the indie realm or not anymore, because I already have so many Melt cosmetics palettes. During that time, they were indie. Okay, so I maybe need to take it back. It's not my very first indie palette, but you know what I mean. My very first indie palette out my comfort zone almost, because I never tried something else than Oden's Eye or Melt. It was always my comfort indie eyeshadow palettes that I wanted for myself, especially Melt. But I really, I'm so happy I pulled the trigger and bought this one for myself, because it's so sparkly, it's so beautiful, and I really want to use this one during the winter time so much more. There are such beautiful shades. I love that you have so many neutral tones, but also this beautiful pastel-y type of row right here, and you can mix and match. I know not many people were that happy with the matte shades. I would maybe also switch out 1 or 2 shades, but all in all, I'm very happy with this palette, guys, because for me, the shimmers are the buying point in this case right here, because they're so beautiful. And if I really want to use another matte, I can pull out some other palettes, you know. But I, in general, stick almost always just to this palette if I'm using it, and I really like this one. And yeah, it's reminding me so much of the winter time just because of those bluish greenish type of shades, those goldeny type of shades. They're all in all very sparkly, this beautiful lilac-y to bluish type of shade. I hope you can see that maybe a little bit, the shift, just ever so slightly maybe. It's a little bit harder to show that on camera, but I love that. All in all, this palette is beautiful for the winter time. So sparkly and stunning, and I really want to sparkle so much more during the winter time. I always get this feeling when it's getting colder, you know, that I want to have as sparkly eyeshadows as possible on my lids. I don't know if you can feel me, but this is the way I'm feeling right now, right in the moment. So I want to show you very sparkly eyeshadows, you know? And yeah, guys, this is all of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Those were my 10 palettes, or 11 if you are... I showed you 2 Tom Ford palettes, but that aside, it would be 10. Palettes that I really want to use during the winter time so much more. Some of them did get a little bit lost in my collection, I have to be honest, and I'm always so sad. And I think those type of videos, or just for yourself at home, it could be so helpful to just see what you have in your collection, pull all of the things out, and really see what all the palettes you also have in your collection that didn't get the love and you really want to use because you like them, and you never lose the love for that palette, but because your collection is growing, you are forgetting some of them, or you don't have the time to use them. So I think this is also a good thing to do just for you, for yourself, to pull out some of the older palettes you really maybe forgotten about, and you see them again and the love is reunited, you know, and you feeling reconnected to this palette. So this is something I really like to do as well, and that's because I'm doing those types of videos every season. It's also helping me, and maybe I'm helping you as well with that a little bit, so that would make me really happy especially. And yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, I would be really happy if you give me a thumbs up, that I know that you like this kind of content. Also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and click on the little bell to get notifications here and there when I'm posting something new. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching. We will see each other in my next one, and until then, bye guys.